We live today. It's a minivan. Oh yeah. Sometimes we go live. God knows why. Clap your hands. Cry tonight. Oh shoot! Did I script the set stream though? Oh no! I'm screwing up. I'm doing 2 streams at once. Oh no! I gotta change that. Wait. Create button now. How about now? We're good, right? Okay, good. Hold on today, Shirley. Are we live on Twitter? We're on the world of Twitter. There's only 3 people on Twitter, man. I thought there'd be more. All right. So we good now. All right, let's go, man. There's no volume, by the way. Mo, thank you for telling me about the chase. Well, my life is like crazy right now. I ain't got no time for nobody, nothing. All right, let me know if we get any other feeds. K, who's going live? Going live. K News? K Cal? I don't know. San Bernardino. Okay. Let me put this notification out on the main channel. Yeah, there's no audio, guys. I guess the chopper just happened to be out. So we gotta take what we can get. We can't complain. We gotta take what we can get. We got a minivan, a chase. What I can try to do is get a radio feed. Yeah, let me just wish this computer would be like more. Oh, he's getting off the highway, so you know it's not good. Erica, thank you for the super chat. Thank you, girl. I can't even put in my own thing here. K-Cal, I don't think K-Cal is live yet. K-Cal? Oh, somebody sent me, let's see. I'm pulling up K-Cal now. Yeah, I said K-Cal. I don't know if I believe you. Do I believe you? You say K and I say Cal. K-Cal. Let's see. Are you guys just mentioning random stations? Think they're not live. This is the first chopper there. If you're mentioning a station, I'm thinking it's because you checked it, not just because you're saying random stations. Oh, okay. Hey, I'm sorry. I doubted you guys, and I'm sorry. I'm wrong. I'll take the L on that. Slap me.
Breaking news of a pursuit of a stolen car. We believe the person inside this car, we don't know how many people, but we believe at least one person in this car is armed, possibly with a ghost gun. I want to bring in Mike Rogers at the desk now to talk about the various ways that this car can be stopped by CHP officials, Mike. You know, we always talk about the fact that when we're going this fast on the freeway, I mean, forget it, really. Pit maneuvers, spike strip?
Yeah. Pit maneuvers is out of the question here. A spike strip, maybe, Des and I have talked about this a lot. There's not a ton of opportunities to do a spike strip on a freeway because of all of the other vehicles. The freeway's very wide. It's really hard to cast that net on a freeway. And the other issue is that he keeps getting on and off the freeways, which doesn't leave them a lot of room to get ahead of them to deal with this. So unfortunately, we may be in a situation where they're just going to wait for this guy to give it up, run out of gas, something like that. But I also want to point out that his odds of getting away from law enforcement are very quickly dwindling because we now have Air 22 from the Sheriff's Department overhead, San Bernardino's 40 King is overhead, and CHP's helicopter is on the way. And so Mike, he's going to have 3 sets of eyes on him just from the air soon.
Exactly. And Mike, and you mentioned that this suspect is armed. There is virtually no chance that authorities are going to call off the search and just let this run its course when there's an armed suspect speeding triple digits down the highway.
And that also, that's a good point, Ross, that also San Bernardino's really limits their opportunity to do a pit maneuver. Sure. The last thing they want is to spin somebody around, have them facing the officers when they have a really good reason to believe that they're armed. That's not something they ever want to put themselves in a situation. So again, that really is going to limit their options here, especially as we stay on the freeway.
Yeah, let's go upstairs now to Desmond Shaw live in SkyCal for a look now. Desmond, where are we now?
So we just crossed the 60 freeway. We're still blasting along the southbound 605. Got up to 95 again at one point. So just wondering if this suspect is, trying to formulate a plan or something and then buy themselves a little bit of time. Sometimes we see that. Maybe they're on the phone with someone trying to see if someone can help.
Probably got a chase, guys.
Thinking about some area where they think that they can, ditch the vehicle and have an
advantage for people that went to sleep
from the authorities. But yeah, 3 sets of eyes from the air, not even counting our eyes from the air, all of the ground assets as well. So yeah, like Mike said, a pit maneuver almost certainly not in the offing. If they were going to do spike strips on a freeway, it would not be when we're talking about speeds like this. Whenever we've seen those attempts, a lot of time, it'll be in pretty heavy traffic if they're driving much more docile, I guess you could say, maybe going at the speed limit or less and kind of sticking to one side of the road. But when you have someone going 90 miles an hour and getting on and off the freeway, changing directions, very, very unlikely that we're going to see that. So authorities' best chance here is that this person, if this was carjacked or however, that it does not have
Erica,
much
thank you. Let's make this an all-nighter.
They're going to run out sooner rather than later. That's most likely what CHP is hoping for right now.
What kind of vehicle is that? I was saying a minivan, but that looks actually kind of like an SUV. I don't know if that's like a Lexus or something.
Any other drivers? There's been no side swiping, no sudden stops. This person has managed to maneuver on the side streets, thankfully, without getting in a jam so far. Is that what you've seen since the beginning now?
I would concur with that. Although we are seeing these really high speeds, they are pretty much sticking it to one lane, not changing lanes crazy or almost losing control of the vehicle or going between lanes. Not so far. We haven't seen anything dangerous as far as that goes. It's really just the speed that has been the most dangerous factor so far in this pursuit. And wouldn't you know it, as is almost always the case with these pursuits, as we double in to see if we could get a look on the passenger side. Oh, look at that, they're even using their turn signal. But they've got that tint, that what I've kind of dubbed the pursuit tint, because almost every single one of these vehicles that we pursue has that really dark tint, which precludes us from looking inside. And that's another thing that law enforcement definitely hates to deal with in a pursuit, is not being able to see what's going on inside that vehicle.
Yeah, especially at night. I mean, it's virtually impossible to see inside that car. So again, we don't know how many people are inside this car. We don't know if it's just a single driver or perhaps with passengers, but we do know tonight that this person is possibly armed with a ghost gun.
Melissa, I got your plant today, your tree plant. Thank you.
Has been in chase for that very reason, and this is originally a stolen car pursuit. So, you got to think about what has happened before this. What happened before this that the CHP is after this person and not letting them go?
19 Nissan crossover.
Yeah, and let's go back over to Mike Rogers. Mike, are you hearing anything new about exactly how this began? We do have that unusual detail that there's a ghost gun involved. What do we know about how this started and where we first picked it up?
Yeah, I know the CHP is trying to work with the sheriff's office out in San Bernardino to get some of that information. There you see one of the helicopters in the shot right there providing that night sun. But what's happening right now is we've gone into now, this is the third area of CHP, their third office. So each time we go through this, you get a new set of officers, a new sergeant who wants new information. So it's happening kind of quickly that we're transitioning through these different offices. So each person's trying to get caught up as we go. And that's what's happening right now. Now we're getting into the Santa Fe Springs area. We are still waiting to get back from San Bernardino Sheriff's exactly what happened, but I can tell you that the Ontario police helicopter that was overhead picked it up in the Ontario area, kind of near the Ontario Mills Mall out there. So, San Bernardino Sheriff's Office obviously has the whole County, but they have an office specifically in Rancho Cucamonga. It could have been from there. It's not clear how long they were chasing it. I will tell you, though, that the San Bernardino Sheriff's helicopters usually get in the air pretty quickly. So the fact that the Ontario PD ship picked it up leads me to believe that it probably started somewhere in that area.
Now, it's hard to tell, but it looks like he's trying to get back on after getting off the 605 right here. Des, is that your understanding? This is an on-ramp back onto the 605 northbound after a brief exit.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, that's it. It's kind of what the suspect's been doing throughout the duration of the pursuit, is just to go along a stretch of freeway, get off, and then reverse course on that stretch of freeway. And that's what we've done now, northbound 605. And this is the volume side, but again, you know, we're well past, now that we're well in the 7 o'clock hour, the traffic starts to break apart. You might see a little bit of on and off slowing between here and the 10. We did see that earlier when we were in the South El Monte area. It just kind of seems like this suspect is trying to buy time, trying to kind of formulate a plan, not making a really, really serious, really desperate attempt to get away from authorities. I mean, yes, we have seen some high speeds, but we haven't seen any of the other really reckless behavior that we often see.
Up all night,
thank you. The center divider at 90 miles an hour.
I got a whole bunch of more just making
or
the iPhone link
way on a surface street. We haven't seen any of those tactics.
I got to figure out how to do that. Somebody showed me that a while back. I have it on the other channel set up.
We do, you know, still have the speeds. Still, I've kind of been going only a little bit above the speed limit. We have seen little bursts of 90 to 100 miles an hour. Actually, I'm not even sure that we've seen 100 over the last 10 minutes or so. So,
you know, and I have to say, Des,
maybe they're trying to conserve a little bit of gas.
And it is somewhat unusual. I haven't seen it in a while, but this driver using some turn signals here. And as you say, very importantly, not going down the wrong way, not getting too close to cars. You got to take the good points and all this bad where you can. But the bad news is the suspect is believed to be armed. The suspect is driving a stolen vehicle itself, possibly a weapon. Police are unable at these speeds to successfully and safely use a pit maneuver or use spike strips. That's very unlikely. So we're in this for the long haul as they just try to wear this person down. There's almost no chance of them calling off a pursuit of an armed suspect fleeing in a stolen vehicle.
And you just wonder, you know, what they're thinking right now, you know, as they exit sometimes off surface streets and then get back onto the freeway.
Are they thinking going on right now in the Whittier area? Chris Christie live in the Bird. What's going on down there?
Hey there, Rob. We are in the tail end of rush hour here as the driver of a stolen Nissan Murano is on the run from San Bernardino Sheriff's Department. Those are about 4 units right behind him there as he travels northbound on the 605. So this started in San Bernardino, made their way down the 10 freeway. That suspect weaving across all lanes of traffic, possibly armed, although that is unconfirmed, and we do not know how many people are inside that vehicle. You just see that he is still refusing to pull over as he plays a game of cat and mouse, I should say, with these officers. CHP is monitoring this. They do have a helicopter that was overhead here, but right now it is the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department who is the primary agency. Chased him westbound on the 10 freeway. He eventually got onto the 605 southbound, went all the way down and then back up as he now travels northbound in the opposite direction, back where he came from, back towards the 10 freeway. But this time, as I mentioned, he is starting to encounter more brake lights, but he has never stayed off of the freeway as long as we've been following this pursuit. He got off momentarily only to get right back onto the 10. Same thing on the 605. So again, trying to toy with these officers, but refusing to pull over, occasionally using his signal there, but for the most part, not really obeying the rules of the road. Pretty erratic driving, I would say, as he weaves across all lanes of traffic here. You're seeing a little more volume as we make our way further north here. And those units behind him are a full football field behind him, pulling back a little bit here and there, but still maintaining a visual of that suspect.
I got a dual screen.
So it sounds like they're gonna play it cautious right now, not really get up on him, make sure, because it seems like a lot of traffic on the freeway, but not enough to slow him down.
Yeah, and that traffic plays into their decision-making quite a bit, especially considering that they are outside of their jurisdiction. It does affect things somewhat. If this was CHP, they may handle it a little bit differently, but obviously San Bernardino has their own protocols, and right now they are just maintaining a visual, not applying too much pressure, but they're also in a position where they don't want this to go sideways in any way in the midst of all of this traffic. You see a lot of other motorists who barely know what's going on behind them. They may see the flashing lights coming up behind him or hear the sirens, but now he's coming up on another decision point here. This time
Amy,
we
holy
are coming
crap.
up on the 60
God.
freeway. So it looks like he's going to take the 60 westbound. He was coming west on the 10 freeway and is now going westbound on the 60 freeway back towards East LA.
Making it rain.
This trajectory here. Now on the transition ramp here, as San Bernardino is able to easily keep up with him.
Damn,
they haven't
Amy,
had
thank
a whole lot
you.
of trouble keeping up with him, and he hasn't been doing extreme speeds that it's been dangerous to keep up with him. He's doing about the speed limit for the most part, at least as long as we've been following it.
Yeah, I think we had some reports that he may have been doing 80 to 90 earlier before you were on his tail there. But, yeah, it looks like so he is heading towards East LA right now, you said. And, yeah, it doesn't look like
as he travels westbound, he's going to be entering Montebello's jurisdiction here in a little while. And we'll start to kind of listen out on the police radio to see if there's any contemplation of handing this off to the California Highway Patrol, or if San Bernardino just wants this for themselves. There's always a tricky balancing act, whether to hand it off or whether to keep it. And right now, San Bernardino is choosing to keep it instead of handing this off. Now, there could be different reasons for that. We don't know what those reasons are. But right now, as far as we know, this is merely a grand theft auto suspect who is possibly armed. It raises the question, though, what is he armed with, and why? How do they know
you guys are crazy.
That he's armed? Has he already flashed that weapon at officers? Has he committed another crime with that weapon? Is he also a shooting suspect? Or
that should be better.
Are there other charges that have been stacked up that lead them to
Erica and Amy, oh my God, thank you.
Outside of San Bernardino's jurisdiction here, but nonetheless, they are keeping this pursuit for themselves. If they start to run low on gas, if they start to have other issues, then maybe they will invite the California Highway Patrol. If he gets off of the freeway, they could invite other jurisdictions like the Sheriff's Department, or if he enters Montebello or LAPD's jurisdiction, then you might see a call for help. But right now, it is San Bernardino County Sheriff that is keeping a close eye on this pursuit, albeit from a short distance.
You guys got to make sure accept memberships.
Protocol is usually to hand off to CHP at some point, right? But I guess the good news is it looks like traffic.
There's a part in your chat. Make sure you go to the top part of your chat in the live chat. I think there's something that lets you accept members, if somebody's gifting it. Make sure you accept it.
It's still bumper to bumper going eastbound, as you well know, Rob. But westbound traffic is definitely easing up. And as westbound traffic eases up, you can see him pushing close to 90 miles per hour, really stepping on the gas now as he has a little more pavement to play with, a little more freedom, and a little more road to run with away from these officers. Again, the open question is what else is happening inside that vehicle, and also how much fuel is left in the tank. Those are questions that we don't know. But with 4 units behind him,
yeah, and again, he doesn't seem to be really blistering fast right now, but he is passing cars on the freeway pretty quickly. Chris, do we know? I know you said it's a stolen vehicle. Was that what spurred the chase, or did something else set this off?
Well, that's all we are aware of. But like I said, the knowledge of a possible weapon. At one point, there was a report that the weapon may or may not be a real weapon. It could be a replica. It could be a ghost gun. But with that kind of intelligence, it leads you to believe that they know more about this suspect than we do. It's not merely a refusal to pull over here, or sometimes with a stolen vehicle, you might find it with a low jack device or some other tracking software from the manufacturer. In this case, it certainly appears that they have more intel on the suspect, which leads me to believe that this may be associated with other possibly more serious crimes, especially, as I mentioned, far out of their jurisdiction. So lots of unanswered questions here, but suffice to say,
I only have 18 members.
They are working with more intel than we are privy to but they are still keeping a close eye on it, and they will see this to the bitter end, and hopefully it'll end peacefully. Obviously, that's always the resolution we're hoping for. We don't want to see anybody get hurt, and certainly that's a concern here when you see so many other vehicles on the road here. As I mentioned, traffic is definitely freeing up now as we get further west, but eastbound traffic is bumper to bumper, and he has shown a willingness once he kind of chooses to either throw a curveball at those officers or changes his mind on direction. He'll jump off the freeway. He won't navigate those surface streets. It's usually only to find either another freeway or to go back where he came from. In this case, he's going westbound, so he could go back to an area he's more comfortable with if he chooses to go back to San Bernardino, or he could take this all the way out west. We just don't know what is going through his mind, where he originates from, where he resides, or what his destination is. But from the maneuvers that he's made so far, something tells me he's kind of making it up as he goes along. We'll see what he decides to do here, but right now he is firmly committed to the westbound 60 freeway heading towards East LA.
Yeah, and it's a Nissan Murano, you said. That's a small SUV. You know, people have to remember these are not high-performance vehicles. This is an SUV that has a relatively high center of gravity, so you'd hate to see him start driving erratically, because an SUV like that would be harder to keep control of, you would think, than some like a sedan or a sports car.
Yeah, a little top heavy, not the best gas mileage, not the worst gas mileage, but certainly capable of going very far distances. Now it looks like he's getting off the freeway. As we were mentioning just a moment ago, he has now gotten off of the 60 freeway. That will put him on surface streets, and he will either look for another entrance ramp to get back on the freeway, especially if he makes a left here on Atlantic Boulevard, or if he makes a right, that'll put him into the neighborhoods here. As we navigate the San Gabriel Valley, we will see in just a minute how familiar he is with this part of town. His true colors will start showing here. If he slows down, if he starts looking for a nook or a cranny, always the possibility that he decides to just dump the vehicle and run for it. We'll look for that foot bail if he doesn't really know where he's going. But look at that, a pedestrian crossing the street here as he tries to navigate traffic at a red light. We'll start to get a better idea of just how desperate that individual behind the wheel is. Is he going to start running red lights and speeding through stop signs, or is he going to try and blend in here and look for a spot to dump the vehicle? Right now, you can see those San Bernardino County Sheriff's vehicles keeping a really close distance now. Originally, they were keeping their distance. Now they're pulling up very close behind him, only about 5 car lengths behind that suspect vehicle as he starts to go with the flow of traffic here at a relatively slow pace here up Reagan Street at Gerhardt Avenue. Now continuing through these intersections, and we will see what the behavior is like behind the wheel. Also notice that night sun lighting up that suspect for those pursuing officers. That is compliments of the California Highway Patrol, who is assisting with this pursuit from the air. But that's about it. They will not get involved unless they are specifically requested or feel the need to take over the pursuit for whatever reason. Right now, they are letting San Bernardino County Sheriff continue this pursuit. We'll see how much longer that lasts, especially now that we are off the freeway where we start to get into different municipalities.
Yeah, and of course he's off the freeway, which exposes pedestrians and a lot more cars possibly to a bad condition here, a bad situation. Being told this is in the Monterey Park area right now, and you know, you watch them go down these streets and you see all these parked cars on the sides there, and you just never know when a pedestrian or someone might step out. You know, it's very... You know, it's a very dangerous situation.
It's very dangerous, especially when you see these roads start to narrow. He's clearly in a residential neighborhood, and your heart skips a beat every time he comes up on this traffic. Anytime there's a red light, he's looking for a way to weave right through. In this case, the light is turning green for him. He's catching a little bit of luck here, and to give you an idea, he is now traveling westbound. I believe we are going westbound, right? No, I'm sorry, eastbound. Excuse me. He's now turned around. He is now going eastbound on Reagan Street. So he's now reversing course here, paralleling the freeway, and something tells me he may look for an opportunity to get back on the freeway. He's only a few blocks, blocks north of the 60 freeway here, so he might look for a sign that directs him back towards the freeway, unless he wants to dump the vehicle in this neighborhood. There he goes, making a right turn, southbound turn, back towards the freeway, and I think we're going to look for an opportunity to get back on the freeway, as I suspect.
Oh, great. Yeah.
But you always want to see it. I mean, that's what they're looking for. They'd much rather see it on the freeway, especially with an unpredictable driver. It's just a safer situation for everybody, especially when you see him.
Not going to get anywhere. Choppers on you.
Now making random turns. You know, not traveling at any great speeds here to try and lose those officers. Just kind of weaving through and zigzagging through this neighborhood. Now going, I think westbound on East Fernfield, and now another turn possibly, or slowing down. Yeah, another random turn. This is turning into a bona fide joyride, Rob, as he kind of makes up these moves as he goes along. Now coming up on Pomona Boulevard. And continuing to look for an entrance ramp onto the freeway, which is what you see there near the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. We'll widen out just a little bit. I suspect he's going to look for that entrance ramp any minute.
Yeah, you have to wonder what's going through this guy's head.
Oh, my God.
At least he seems, like you mentioned before, somewhat calm. He's not driving too erratically.
Stolen vehicle, yeah.
But where is he, in a back alley now?
Yeah, it looks like a little more of it looks like an alley behind a commercial district along Garfield Avenue. Yeah, it's clearly an alley where you never know when somebody might pop out of one of these businesses, but you just hope for the best here as he comes back up onto Riggin Street. You'll notice that we have been here before, now doing a full loop in this neighborhood, which tells you that, again, I think this is a very ad hoc driver behind the wheel here, just again, making it up as he goes along. As he gets closer to the freeway, it's going to put him, I think, on Riggins, which I think puts him under the 60 freeway in a minute here. We'll see. Or did he already pay? He might have already bypassed the freeway. So now he's in a different neighborhood altogether as he moves further towards the north here. But again, still you see those 4 black and whites maintaining a clear visual here. Fortunately, not a whole lot of traffic. Lots of opportunities for him to dump the vehicle, but he's just continuing this pursuit, I think, as long as there is fuel in the tank. Again, this is not his vehicle. It is a stolen vehicle. So he will be looking for a chance to hide when he sees fit, especially as that tank starts to run low eventually. He will look for an opportunity to either run or give up. And you just hope that it's one of those two peaceful options and nothing more daring than that.
Yeah. Why don't we recap what we know so far? As you mentioned, Chris, it is a stolen vehicle. The man inside is possibly armed, we're told. We have San Bernardino Sheriff's deputies in pursuit right now. And they've been, even though we are like in the Monterey Park area, they have stuck with this pursuit, which started somewhere in San Bernardino. And this guy hasn't given up. He's just right now driving in circles in that neighborhood. And fortunately, driving relatively slow compared to other chases that we've seen. But, right now it's just San Bernardino Sheriff's deputies keeping, it is CHP right now. They've moved in and taken over this pursuit. But this is, they're staying, at least 10 car lanes behind, it seems like, Chris.
Yeah, and a little more aggressive there as he comes up behind the freeway there along Pomona Boulevard as he parallels the freeway, losing a visual. He comes underneath the freeway, and you saw right as you said that, Rob, that pursuing officer, that primary officer, stepped on it and really came close to the rear of that vehicle. No sign of a pit maneuver, but it was enough to agitate the driver, who is now speeding down South Gerhardt Avenue. I think that spooked him a little bit, and now they're applying a little more pressure. If it is true, do we have? I did not hear the transition, but if you have that from our desk, that would make sense. If CHP has taken over this pursuit, we may see different tactics here as they be here all night. Much closer than San Bernardino was just a few minutes ago. Is that what we're hearing? CHP has taken it over? I'm trying to get word from our assignment desk as well.
Yeah, that's what I've been told. CHP, I've been told you could tell by the flashing lights that go side to side. So I learned something new today as well.
Me too. That is actually a new one on me as well. There you see him blowing through a stop sign there, weaving around traffic, even going the wrong way there for just a second. But now this gets dicier. Now he feels a little more pressure. California Highway Patrol treating him a little bit differently. And now that California Highway Patrol is involved, we expect that San Bernardino will pull back completely and let CHP do their thing. Again, the good news, as you mentioned, is that the driving behind the wheel, the wheel is fairly composed. The bad news is that person who is possibly armed with a handgun, and we don't know
what is he doing?
what
are you
crimes
doing?
have been associated with this Grand Theft Auto suspect, which raises all kinds of question marks as to the desperation and the willingness to create more havoc here on the part of that driver. We also have no clue, at least from what we are aware of, how many people are inside that vehicle. Again, I believe that law enforcement is dealing with more facts and details than we are privy to, but right now, they are just trying to get this person off the road as he gets back onto Whittier Boulevard now.
Guys, I'm going to have to figure out the memberships.
We'll see if
I'm going to have to contact YouTube, guys.
But I expect the tactics will continue to change here as that California Highway Patrol
Actually, I'll keep making a screenshot of everybody that gifted.
Starts to take this further towards the freeway.
Yeah, and you may be thinking, oh, why not just pit maneuver? But you have to remember a pit maneuver, can send that car out of control. There's a lot of people in this area, a lot of other vehicles. So it's kind of a tough choice, I would think, for the lead officer to make that call and try and pit a car.
Oh my
right
gosh.
there next to that vehicle, coming very close as he made that wild right turn there. You're right. At least as long as we've had eyes on this, Rob, I haven't seen a really clear opportunity to execute a safe pit maneuver. They're going to be looking for the speeds to stay around 20 to 40 miles per hour, but you also need the clearance, especially on these narrow roads. You're not going to see it in a residential street where there could be unknowns.
Thank you, JB. Please, can you email me that?
Parked car.
Thank you.
Especially once you get onto some of the busier streets as we start to get further away from rush hour. We're still seeing lots of volume out there, especially on Whittier Boulevard. Just a moment ago, you saw there was just too many people, pedestrians and motorists alike, that surround this area that just make it unsafe to execute a good pit maneuver. So right now, they'll look for the opportunity if that supervisor gives the go-ahead, but we have not seen that. So right now, don't even look for that until we get to a more wide open area. The speeds are at about right, but again, you need really clear roads and enough girth there on those wider roads to execute a full 180 spin out and then bring this pursuit to a conclusion. So right now, continuing to blow through red lights here through this residential neighborhood, traveling along Eagle Street here in East LA, and making random turns. At least by my estimation, all of these turns appear to be random, and with that much traffic down there, you can still see he's only holding at about 40 miles per hour. So pretty fast for a residential neighborhood, but obviously that vehicle is capable of going much faster if he really wanted to. So he's not exactly zooming through here, but certainly the driving is dangerous enough that they have to get this guy off the road. The chances become less and less likely that they are going to let this person go.
I mean to myself, why does it
girth? We know about this pursuit, it just seems unlikely. Now making another left turn there onto Hubbard Street as he continues to find himself in these residential neighborhoods looking for maybe another left turn. Really doesn't know where he wants to take this, and I question his familiarity with this general area. Just doesn't seem like he knows where he's going.
Yeah, you mentioned before that he's just driving around making somewhat random turns here and there. It kind of makes you feel if he's thinking about bailing, right? Trying to find a good spot, like trying to I don't know, like find a spot where he might be able to run through some yards, jump a fence, something like that, which very rarely pans out for these guys anyway. But yeah, I don't know.
It never works out well. But again, when you have somebody who's possibly armed with a weapon, they kind of, there's all kinds of unknowns here. And now look at that, another person coming in the opposite direction here. He's traveling at a relatively safe speed here, but still, if he just takes his eyes off the road, somebody could get hurt here on these narrow residential streets. And you just get the impression that if he sees if he comes up on another major intersection, he's probably going to take the turn. He's not going towards the freeway. Right now, he's just kind of meandering through this residential neighborhood. Again, still on Hubbard Street. He's been traveling down Hubbard for eastbound on Hubbard for a couple of minutes now. You see now I count 4 units still behind him. And from what we're hearing, it does sound like California Highway Patrol, I believe, that has taken over this pursuit. But in any event, he has kind of continued this game of cat and mouse, refusing to pull over, making random turns, not breaking any speed records. The driving is fairly tame, but as we've seen so many times in the past, and even very recently, it could.
What happened?
And even very recently, it could go from, aim pursuit to a very wild and reckless pursuit in a matter of seconds at the drop of a dime if that person feels enough pressure. And you already saw at one point as that primary unit started to inch up behind him, it was enough for him to press on the gas and speed up a little bit. Now making a right turn onto busy Garfield Avenue.
Thank you so much. It's very useful.
Major, and now he took it. So now he's going down Garfield Avenue at about 55 miles per hour, stepping on the gas here as he looks for, I believe, another freeway eventually.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if he's lost or if he doesn't have GPS, just kind of winging it, hoping to find some way onto a freeway.
Coming up on Whittier Boulevard, making a turn onto Whittier, and there just happened to be another black and white right around the corner there. Now he's turned on his sirens. He may go ahead and join this pursuit. Not sure what jurisdiction he is, but if it is CHP, we may see him get involved here to help these officers out. Again, that's just speculation. Wasn't sure what agency that is, but you see those California Highway Patrol officers now keeping up with him at 60 miles per hour down busy Whittier Boulevard. Again, no opportunity for a pit maneuver here. Too much oncoming traffic, too many variables on Whittier Boulevard to execute a safe pit maneuver. It's just too early in the evening, too many people around, and with an unpredictable driver here, he could steer right off of Whittier Boulevard at any moment, as he has done already on so many of these surface streets. Not really maintaining any clear straightaways here. I just am speculating, but I believe he's looking for either a place to dump the vehicle or an opportunity to get back on the freeway. But that would only work for him if he gets onto the eastbound side. As we get further towards East LA here, the westbound side is clear, but the eastbound side of the 10 freeway and the 60 freeway alike are both seeing really, really heavy traffic right now.
Yeah, we're being told that the law enforcement choppers have swapped out a bit. CHP choppers still in the air. San Bernardino has peeled off.
Thank you for subscribing. Subscribe up, guys.
Chopper is also
I got to do the pickle emoji, yes.
Pursuit, which has been going on.
I'm going to work on the emojis.
Geez, at least
Raging
half an
Cajun,
hour
thank you
now,
for the super
maybe
chat.
even longer. Earlier we had reports of speeds up to 80 to 90 miles per hour.
Into a parking lot. This could be dangerous here. Into a Target parking lot. A random turn into a busy parking lot. Look at that, a jam-packed Target parking lot as he comes up into the shopping center. We don't know if he's just using it to cut through here. It looks like he might be. And now a possible confrontation here with other officers trying to triangulate with him in this parking lot. We'll see if they cut him off at the exit here, but he's speeding up at 40 miles per hour through this parking lot. Lots of cars there as he looks for
Lord, he's squeezing through. Yo, that guy reversed so quick.
Avenue once again.
Look at almost trapped.
Black and whites. Yeah, all of these black and whites from now several different agencies.
That guy reacted so quick and moved out the way.
Him from all different angles. That's going to be enough to agitate and put him onto the wrong side of Whittier Boulevard. Now going the wrong way on Whittier, back on the correct side of on the road there, but definitely crossing over the double yellow lines for a few seconds as he felt some pressure. We're starting to see a little bit of a pattern here as he zooms right past that red light.
Fix that.
We're seeing a lot more law enforcement in the area in front of him and behind him. And as he feels that pressure, you're seeing a slight escalation in terms of his daringness to speed through red lights and stop signs, and definitely pick up the pace a little bit, showing that he does not want to go to jail, but certainly that is probably how this is going to end up. But right now he is still zooming down at about 45 to 50 miles per hour down Whittier Boulevard. Again, we've been here before. We're seeing a lot of repeat tracks here as he goes in circles through East LA, but still inching his way closer to the East LA interchange little by little.
Yeah, and he's been catching some breaks. It seems like he's getting a lot of green lights. I haven't. The last couple of intersections have been green. Lucky for him, although now he's running into some traffic here, and he's just jumping on the turn lane.
jumping into the turn lane there, making a U-turn back, going westbound again. That he is on the edge of Montebello here, now going back towards the west. So, like I said, he keeps, it's like 3 steps forward, 1 step back towards the east. He's really very, very unsure of where he wants to take this or where he wants to dump the vehicle. And with that in mind, you know that eventually he's going to just have to be, he's going to be forced to either give up and put his hands up or dump the vehicle and try and run. But with so much law enforcement in the area, it's not looking good for him. Not to mention you've got helicopters overhead, just too many eyeballs on this suspect that it just looks like he's basically enjoying his last few minutes of freedom here as he continues this joyride, once again going westbound on Whittier Boulevard, getting further and further west. Again, like I said, he'll go west for a little while, then he'll turn around, jump into some of these neighborhoods, but somehow he keeps making his way further and further west. And I say that because that's going to eventually put him back into LAPD's jurisdiction. Right now, you mentioned we are certainly in the sheriff's jurisdiction. CHP behind him, sheriff's overhead, LAPD in front of him, and other agencies like Montebello and neighboring agencies that are keeping an eye on this as this traverses through various municipalities. You can see it continuing 50 miles per hour down Whittier Boulevard, blowing right through red lights, and that's where you start to see things get very dangerous. You really worry about going through the wrong intersection with cross traffic.
Look at that guy by McDonald's.
Very, very dangerous. Now you see we passed that Target parking lot that he tried to hide in for a minute, used it as a cut through, and is now continuing westbound on Whittier Boulevard, Rob.
Yeah, so he's just going back and forth, it seems, on the same street here. And I don't know what he thinks the outcome is going to be, that the officers are going to just pull over and let him go, but they're on him, and they're not going to let him free, right? They're going to stick with this pursuit. And as you mentioned, we have a sky full of choppers above him. This guy, I don't know. I don't know what his game plan is, right? But it doesn't seem too smart right now.
He's on, I would say he's on borrowed time. I think you're absolutely right about that. There's that sheriff's helicopter doing really tight orbits around that suspect vehicle. Again, this is a stolen Nissan Murano out of San Bernardino County. This has ended up in LA County, but you see him now, again, retracing his steps here as he does circles in various neighborhoods, not committing to any one street or neighborhood, just kind of making this up as he goes along, as he just uses up whatever is left in this vehicle. The vehicle's in fine shape, but you know that there is only a finite amount of fuel in that gas tank. So if he continues the aimless driving, he's going to be forced to either jump out of the vehicle or give up. Those are the two big possibilities in front of me right now, are either giving up peacefully and surrendering or trying to run for it, which probably won't work out so well with all the resources that have been dedicated to this pursuit. And by the way, just because California Highway Patrol has taken over this pursuit does not mean that San Bernardino turned around and went home. They are still monitoring this pursuit, and they will likely be right behind California Highway Patrol when this pursuit does finally come to an end, to bring this person back to San Bernardino to face those original charges. I would say that is the most likely scenario. He is probably not going to Men's Central downtown. He's going back to San Bernardino, which is a different story, especially considering that we have, I think, pretty good reason to believe that there is more to the story here than just Grand Theft Auto. Again,
what's the gas mileage? Let's look it up.
Speculating a little bit, Rob, but you just get that impression that he is running from some more serious charges. Now you see we're going back in the eastbound direction, really going back and forth right along Whittier Boulevard. He's been on Whittier now for several minutes, going east and west, making random U-turns. You saw we just passed that Target shopping center yet again as he makes his way back into Montebello proper.
Yeah, and at gas is $6 a gallon. You kind of hope that the little swerve there into the other oncoming traffic.
Gas expensive, right?
Expensive gas. You hope the owner he stole this car from maybe kept the gas tank at a quarter tank or at least not full. Hopefully this.
Well, Yeah, one thing that's interesting is now that he's been up and down Whittier Boulevard with all of those resources on Whittier, we're starting to see, like we did just there, a spike strip attempt. That's what he was swerving away from.
I didn't even see that.
Continues, you might see additional attempts to spike the vehicle as he
he's going to get stuck.
If and when he establishes a pattern like he did there for a minute. Now he's in some new territory here, back on Hubbard, which we were on earlier, a little bit further to the east. But if he makes a right turn back on to Whittier Boulevard, we now know that there are black and whites prepared to lay down a spike strip if they see the opportunity to safely do so. So with all of the busy traffic on these majors and these narrow side streets, a pit maneuver is less likely. But as he starts to do circles and make U-turns on the same
it's my main channel, Mel. I'll be in San Diego tomorrow.
Likelihood of a spike strip really
live in California. Email me your link.
Very appetizing for California Highway Patrol or any of these agencies
Is
that
it
are
that channel or the other one?
Yeah, so Chris, we have some video just a few minutes ago. This is from, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes ago when he made that turn and came so close to those pedestrians by the car there. Fortunately, they were not hit, but the car continued on. And this is what we're talking about. This is, how these situations can get so dangerous so quickly. He makes a turn, it's dark, and there are people in the street.
No girth zone.
Exactly. These wild left and right turns at various intersections, barely braking in some cases, and then a swerve into the wrong lanes of traffic, crossing over the paint there. It puts everybody in danger. You just take your eye off the road for just a second as you're trying to run from law enforcement. Your adrenaline's going, and it doesn't take much, unfortunately. It just doesn't take much for somebody to get hurt. That's why these pursuits are so dangerous.
Hits a cul-de-sac,
and that's why we cover them the way that we do, because when you have somebody who is so unpredictable, who is disobeying the rules of the road, erratic moves left and right, it poses a real threat to the public here in all of these neighborhoods. And that's why it's so important to keep an eye. If you live in the area, stay home. Keep your doors and windows locked, because you just never know how this is going to end as we navigate these various surface streets.
Right. As we've seen so often in these pursuits, people will bail out of those vehicles. Next thing you know, they're in someone's yard, possibly running through someone's home. I've seen in the past where they've climbed onto people's roofs and have, ended up there. So you just, like you mentioned, you just never know what these people are going to do, where they're going to go, and, what's going through their mind.
That's right. I mean, just in the last couple of weeks, we've seen several pursuits that ended in random restaurants at different times of the day. Dinner time, lunchtime, you just run into a restaurant, hide out in a various, in any given commercial business. If they're open, you just try and look for a hiding spot, and then all of a sudden you've got, patrons that are in danger. Or in the case that you mentioned so many times, they run through neighborhoods, start jumping fences, and all of a sudden it becomes a home invasion as the person tries to hide out inside of a residence. You just never know, and that's why these situations are so volatile. And now you see him on Wilcox Avenue, which is a wide street that is a little bit less traveled. A few cars in the way here, but we'll see here as this continues up Wilcox. If he stays on Wilcox, maybe you see with enough lanes to play with, now going under the freeway, under the 60 freeway, if he either looks for an opportunity to get back onto the 60 or if they see an opportunity to maybe give the go-ahead for that pit maneuver. Right now, haven't seen any really clear opportunities, but those might be in front of us here as we get a little bit further away from the 60 on Wilcox, or now in just passing Gleason Street. You see much less traffic. This is a narrow road here, so you wouldn't see it on a residential street like this. But if he does find a wide enough street, they may execute that pit maneuver. You never know.
Yeah, and he just passed up a freeway, right? I mean, it wasn't an on-ramp right there, but well, who knows? Now he's taking a right-hand turn. Maybe he's going to head back and try and find a way onto that freeway.
Yeah, I mean, that was my prediction, and I think it's probably still a good bet, although, if he doesn't know how to find that entrance, if he really doesn't know where he's going, very easy to get lost in these random neighborhoods here in the San Gabriel Valley, or even end up in a cul-de-sac or a dead end without even realizing it. Yeah. You find yourself in a position where you've now trapped yourself by making these random turns. Now back on Reagan Street again, and this starts to raise the question of, we said earlier it appeared to be random when he got off the freeway in this part of town, near Montebello, here in the East LA area. Maybe he does know something about this neighborhood as he continues to find himself, or we continue to find ourselves here, cruising over the same exact streets repeatedly now. I see a little bit more of a pattern that we didn't see earlier. Makes you wonder why he got off the 60 freeway in this part of town and why he keeps finding himself on the same streets. If these street names here near the top of your screen coming to a stop, and we'll see if that driver's side door pops open. We'll see why he stopped the vehicle, if he's going to run for it or start to surrender. Maybe the fuel tank is running low, but it's a good sign, to say the least, that he's now stopped. That person is just chilling here, too. Now we'll just see if he starts to cooperate and obey the commands of California Highway Patrol, who are now stepping out of their vehicles, stepping out of their patrol cars with their guns drawn. They've got those spotlights on that driver's side of the vehicle. They're going to begin ordering him out of the vehicle, but right now you see that driver's side door still shut. The headlights are still on. So excellent driving. Is on. The ignition is engaged. He has just come to a pause here. We'll see if he cooperates or continues the pursuit.
Well, let's hope they could maybe get a spike strip ahead of him if he does decide to take off again. But yeah, you could see the officers with a couple of long guns there and some handguns. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, 9 times out of 10, you're 100% right, Rob. They'll have plenty of time now in a situation like this, as he's been stopped for close to a minute. They'll have plenty of time to get on the other side of this street and set up for that spike strip. So he's somewhat boxed in. You get the feeling that this pursuit is coming to an end, and you don't see him trying to run, and that's a good sign. So maybe just enjoying his final minutes of freedom, as I suspected earlier. And hopefully we can only hope that he gives up peacefully here. But without seeing those hands out the window, that's not a great sign. This now turns into a standoff. And without knowing how many other people are inside the vehicle or what the mental state of the suspect is behind the wheel, there's still so many possibilities. Again, keep in mind, there is a belief on the part of law enforcement that this suspect may be armed with a handgun. So with that in mind, we're going to keep an eye on this very, very cautiously. If he steps out of the vehicle,
you can see.
In the front is like some... I thought they say he had an air gun.
Yeah. The other windows on the SUV seem to be tinted, but you can obviously see through. There's some movement. I don't know. Yeah,
I noticed that too. You see some movement through the front windshield. We'll stay on this side here and keep this angle, but difficult to see what's going on in there. Definitely some movement. Maybe a cell phone on. It could be a reflection, but I think I might see a screen there. But still, no cooperation here on the part of the driver of this stolen vehicle. So a tenuous situation, a delicate operation here for California Highway Patrol at the end of a pursuit where the driver is refusing to cooperate. We can only imagine what is going through the head of that suspect and what is going on inside the vehicle. Certainly, the end of the pursuit is almost always the most dangerous. Obviously, there's lots of potential for danger over the course of a pursuit, especially high-speed pursuits where we saw so many erratic moves. This was not particularly high speed, but still, there are always lives in danger in every pursuit. But at the end of the pursuit, where there are so many unknowns and so many variables, especially when there's a weapon involved, it's still a very, very volatile situation. They don't know exactly what they're dealing with. We certainly don't know what they're dealing with. They may have a better idea of what this suspect is capable of, but we certainly don't. And for that reason, you're going to see them treat this with kid glove care as they wait for the suspect to cooperate
the lights turned on.
And eventually probably call for more backup, which will likely come from the LA County Sheriff's Department.
And this is going on right now in East Fernfield Drive and Fulton Avenue. That's in the southwest San Gabriel Valley, where they have this driver stopped right now. They're obviously ordering him to get out of the vehicle. And I keep saying him. I assume it's a male. I think that's what we were told. Possibly armed, which really jacks up the crisis situation here, because you just don't know what he's going to do. And what you want to see is the window down, the hands out, and they ask him, usually they'll have him get out, lay face down on the ground with the hands behind him. But right now, we're not seeing that.
Homeboy up here just chilling, watching too.
The good news.
Also to shut off the vehicle. One of the first things is to shut off the vehicle.
He's like, yo, what are you doing here?
In many cases, you want to see them even drop the keys, but the vehicle is clearly still on. And now we see more backup arriving. If this continues much longer, the call will eventually be put out for the Special Enforcement Bureau.
Oh, boy. This guy backing out. He's like,
oh,
shit.
Or they may bring in a canine unit to be ready to pounce here. They may decide to use less lethal weaponry to try and gas out the suspect. All kinds of tools at their disposal here, but that will all most likely come from the LA County Sheriff's Department once that call for backup is placed. So a lot of California Highway Patrol at the end of this pursuit, but the longer this goes and turns into a standoff,
there's a bunch of choppers out there.
It becomes more
like five, I think.
More prolonged exercise.
Yeah. And these guys aren't going anywhere. I don't know what he's doing. Maybe he's on the phone with someone right now. Maybe he's calling an attorney, which would probably be a good piece of advice for him. But
Mama.
Yeah. Yep. What you don't see is a whole lot of backup coming in yet. Whether that call has been placed or not, we can assume that it might have been, but certainly at this point, it almost looks like the same 4 or 5 units that are right behind them. Let's go ahead and take this opportunity to pan over to the opposite side. I was just going to say, let's go ahead and see if they set up a spike strip. Brian, let's go ahead and see if there's awaiting officers, which it does appear that there are. And here comes a black and white going the opposite way. This is going to be a head-to-head situation here as they approach the other side of this block. It certainly appears
That's good.
Plenty of gas in the tank here.
Bro, you hold down.
The pursuit is back on. Just like that, you think you're at the end of the chase, and now the pursuit is back on. Now you see the freeway. He sees the freeway.
What was that about?
And now you really have to believe he's looking for a chance to get back on the freeway.
No way. They had so much time.
Pedal, but he is not giving up easily.
They could have set up spike strips. They could have set up vehicles in front. They had a whole bunch. I guess they thought that was it.
His better conscience is not winning out here. He is still on the run here.
I hope nobody gets hurt, though. We don't want nobody
what
hurt.
You hoped
would have been the end of
that pursuit, especially where they could have boxed him in or set up for a spike strip. Exactly what we were talking about, Rob. They failed to do.
They had so much time to do that.
At the other end of that intersection, they may have their reasons for doing it, but in any event, he was able to slip right by that oncoming black and white, and the pursuit is back on, and it really makes you wonder, what happened there, because
a bit of a
when
missed
you have a suspect isolate, it's a missed opportunity. Exactly right. There are so many more lives that are in danger now than there were just 90 seconds ago when he was sitting still on that residential block. And now look at this. Wild left turns at high speeds through the red light there, turning off of Garfield onto Elmgate here on a not a well-lit street here, very residential, narrow roads where the suspect is picking up speed. Those same units are now continuing the pursuit behind him, and we'll see what happens next. But that really amps things up here, and I think only makes this even more serious at this point.
Yeah, and who knows the conditions there, why they didn't put a spike strip in front of that vehicle. Maybe if the suspect is believed to be armed, you don't want to put an officer in jeopardy by putting him in front of the vehicle. But even, half a block away, it seems like they could have put a car or a spike strip or something there. But again, I'm not a police officer. I don't know how it works. There must be some sort of protocol or reason why they didn't do this.
Well, one of the problems here, and this is a great look at this, a busy intersection there, cross traffic.
Did he hit? I thought he hit.
Okay,
yeah.
he paused there,
Lord.
some heavy cross traffic, and now he's back on Garfield Avenue. We'll keep a close eye on this because I just get the feeling the driving is going to become a little bit more dangerous as he goes through another red light here, slowing down for the red light, but continuing on Garfield Avenue. And what I was about to say was, Rob, that, California Highway Patrol is the lead agency here. When it comes to coordinating for, let's say, a prospective spike strip attempt or something like that to box them in at the other end of the intersection, requires more coordination with the other municipalities. In this case, LA County Sheriff's Department would be the one to help out with that spike strip. But when they don't know what the situation is, sometimes that cooperation can get, sometimes, let's just say, communication could break down, or not necessarily break down, but communication and coordination can slow down so that different supervisors are now in the kitchen together making cooperative decisions and trying to figure out what resources they're going to dedicate and what risks they are going to take to bring this to an end. Because as far as the LA County Sheriff Department is concerned, they don't know who this guy is. They don't know what the charge is. They only know what they're being told.
This guy's got to be on something. The broadcaster
got to be on something. They have a decision to make in terms of how much they want to be involved. As far as they know, this is a San Bernardino suspect, and there's just a lot of decision points and people making decisions that may have contributed to that lack of readiness there at the end of that block. In the meantime, though, we see that speeds picking up here, 50 miles per hour, again down Wilcox Avenue. Again, doing a circle in the same neighborhood where there are now officers not only behind him, but officers in front of him as well. And some of them may very well be LA County Sheriff's deputies, but he is still continuing these circles in the same general part of town, which makes you wonder, maybe he lives here or, just
knows someone.
Is familiar with this neighborhood. You just never know.
And we keep seeing him circle underneath the 60 freeway there, so you would think maybe he isn't interested in getting on the freeway because you be able to figure out some way to find an on-ramp.
That's right. And now, once again, back on empty Garfield Avenue. A little bit of traffic going the opposite way here. But if they see a straightaway without any oncoming traffic, he's going, just a little too fast for that pit maneuver. But if he slows down, they could give the go-ahead here. Or, considering that he's done so many circles, he's been on Whittier Boulevard, he's been on Reagan Street, he's been on Garfield Avenue, they're going to start setting up at these various intersections for a possible spike strip, as we saw a little while ago. Coming very close to traffic here.
Might
other
be
motorists
some pedestrian help,
using that gas station likely to cut through here. Or is he going under there? Is he going?
Let's hope he's
going around the pumps.
Okie doke. The okie doke on the cops.
Coming back here,
we'll see.
There's an opportunity for a hit. There was an open opportunity to nudge that vehicle.
Aaron, thank you for the membership.
It might have been a little bit too congested for them, but in any event, you see lots of law enforcement ready for him. Again, under the 60 freeway, bypassing opportunities to get on the freeway as he is now back into a commercial area along Garfield Avenue, really amping things up here, and that just really makes me worry about the unknowns here. Now into the back of, or actually into a parking lot, a 99-cent store parking lot. A little more pavement here, not as busy of a parking lot, but just most likely looking for a way to cut through and get back onto in this.
This guy's been pretty avoiding the cops.
Via Campo, which is just off of Garfield. Coming around this Ford dealership here now again, paralleling the freeway. If there's going to be an opportunity to get back on the freeway, this is going to be it. So we'll look for an opportunity. There he is. Look at that, going around traffic here, but no entrance ramp. No entrance ramp, just going back under the freeway. You'll notice, Rob, we've now been under this overpass on several occasions. This one, as well as other neighboring underpasses. He is now crossed Pomona and continuing to kind of meander on the north and south side of the 60 freeway. Something tells me this is going to end in a foot bail, but that's just a guess on my part.
Yeah, and he does seem to be I don't know. You know,
imagine it's a female driver again.
He's in his driving right now, and the way he was cutting through the gas station and the parking lot for the 99-cent store makes you wonder if he is getting a bit more antsy or hyped up, maybe preparing to bolt from that vehicle.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. And even though the driving has been relatively tame, we see situations where he makes, an unpredictable move or a dangerous move where other traffic can't see him, whether he's blowing through a red light or a stop sign or what have you. And it could go from a tame pursuit to, as I mentioned before, a very dangerous pursuit where somebody could get hurt, whether it's cross traffic or a pedestrian, somebody walking their dog at this time of the night. These are very residential neighborhoods that we are traversing here. Now 60 miles per hour, doing almost 20 miles plus over the speed limit down Garfield Avenue, where there is little traffic as he picks up steam here. 60 plus miles per hour on Garfield is going to raise the ante here, and you might see, if the traffic stays light, you might see them pull up a little bit closer behind him, maybe apply a little more pressure. You see, again, law enforcement both in front of him and behind him with limited options in this situation, but if he slows down, that's where they can maybe bring this
arms
to an
hanging
end.
out.
Got an arm hanging out now.
Oh, Lord. Lord almighty.
But again, on Garfield, there he is on Garfield. I don't know how many times we've seen him drive up and down Garfield Avenue here.
Up and down, numerous times by my count. I've lost track, to be honest with you. Yeah,
a
lot of these street names, if they sound familiar, trust your instincts, because we have been here before, and he keeps making these really random turns. But I say random. He may not.
But he's got his arm out the window now. I don't know if he's flipping off
I'm
officers or I don't know if you could see that, Chris. But
yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize, Rob. Yeah, he may be more familiar with these roads than we're giving him credit for. One thing he hasn't done is trapped himself too much in any dark corners here. Yeah. When I say dark corners, I mean like dead ends or what have you. But in any event, he's continuing to backtrack again, going back towards Whittier Boulevard, heading back towards the freeway. I mean, these are really repetitive steps that he's making here as we continue further south away from the 60 freeway now, away from the 10 back towards the 60. We're just kind of we're bouncing so frequently up and down the same streets. I'm starting to lose direction here, but yeah, he is now on Grand Ridge Avenue, heading back towards the 60 freeway, and if he slows down a little bit,
we should do a poll.
I almost wonder if we may see an opportunity.
Well, I think it's a guy, right? I think we can tell it's a guy now.
To feel more comfortable giving the go-ahead for that pit maneuver. We'll see here, but it's really anybody's guess
from the
at this
window.
point. We thought we might see a spike strip at the
what you said? What kind of spike strip?
But that didn't happen.
I thought you said some other kind of strip.
We'll see what they have in mind here.
Yeah, and that really did throw me for a loss. They had several minutes there where he was stopped on a very narrow street, and there was an opportunity, you would think, to spike strip the car, blockade it.
It's a they. I should have given the option they.
After it seemed like 4 or 5 minutes, then he just pulled away.
I think the biggest reason is that they have too many unknowns inside of this vehicle, namely the weapon. Yeah. The report of a weapon inside that vehicle, I think, is playing a big part of the calculus here, especially on the part of California Highway Patrol. They are much less likely, if at all, willing to pit a vehicle with a known weapon inside the vehicle. And again, I repeat, we really don't know how this all started, only that this is a grand theft auto suspect who is possibly armed. If they have confirmation of that weapon and confirmation of more serious crimes that have taken place here, again, as he comes back on to Garfield Avenue yet again, that will prevent them from
they could set him up with a spike.
A pit maneuver. However, we have seen a willingness to try the spike strip. Yeah. But the pit maneuver seems to be out of the question. We've seen a couple of possible opportunities. I just think that the weapon in that vehicle is the big game changer here.
Yeah, on the right-hand side of the screen, we're looping one of those opportunities where you see the spike strip thrown out into the street. He was able to dodge it, though.
Yeah, unfortunately, back into, this might even be the same gas station.
Oh,
Shell station,
just a few moments ago.
He's trolling, man. He's trolling,
it's the same
bro.
station, and he's cutting through again. Now, whether it's a coincidence that he's choosing the gas station or whether he's actually running out of gas back underneath the 60 freeway here.
Boy.
Again, Garfield Avenue at the 60, traversing these same overpasses, or I should say underpasses, as he reverses course here back into that commercial district here. He is picking up a little bit of speed and refusing to pull over as he continues at 50 miles per hour in this stolen Nissan Murano. Again, to recap now, we are going on upwards of at least 90 minutes that this pursuit has been taking place, and that's a minimum. We don't know exactly what time it started. It could be much longer, especially considering that this all started in San Bernardino County. So, you know, this is a lengthy pursuit. And law enforcement has yet at any point shown a willingness to just give it up. And the longer it goes and the more dangerous it becomes, I think the less likely it is, as you mentioned, that they will give it up. So this is going to end somehow, some way, with him most likely being taken into custody. But it's a matter of whether he gives up peacefully or by some other means they have to forcefully end this pursuit. We'll see how it ends. But you just hate to see it on these surface streets. Believe me, each and every one of these law enforcement officers is wishing at this point that he would just get back onto the freeway, because that is just the safest place for a pursuit like this. You know, there's just less opportunity for collateral damage. There's less opportunity for pedestrians to get involved, and you know, there's more opportunity for him to basically stay in a contained area where they can create traffic breaks, either behind him or in front of him or both. Yeah, but at this point, as long as he's on surface streets, all bets are off. I think the knowledge of a weapon inside that vehicle, I believe, is playing a really big part here. And then there's other possibilities. Look at that spike strip tearing up that front left wheel, and that's gonna really bring this to a halt. Look at that tire rolling away from him. And it just shredded on impact, and now it's a different situation. Now that front left wheel is inoperable. The car likely still mobile, but it has come to a stop at Garfield Avenue and via San Clemente here in East LA, as now multiple black and whites pull up behind the termination of this pursuit. I believe probably the end of this pursuit. We will see whether he tries to gas it and get away, or whether he
tore that tire off like nothing.
Yeah, both tires. You're right. That front left wheel is down to the rim. And that happened really quick.
Yeah.
That happened really quick.
He's been going up and down Garfield Avenue so many times. They had to know he was going to do it one more time, and they were waiting with that spike strip.
Right. If ever there was a time where a suspect was really establishing a clear pattern and opportunity to step for a spike strip, this was certainly one of them.
Yeah.
And so a well-executed spike strip attempt, having exactly the desired effect, maybe even quicker than realized. I mean, the vehicle came almost to an immediate stop.
Oh, the canine, baby.
Shredded apart. Now both left tires, at the very least, both left tires are gone essentially, and now we'll be able to watch and wait here to see if he changes his behavior, if he decides to roll down the window. We've already seen him roll down the window once. You saw his left arm out the window, but maybe we'll see if he starts to cooperate or shows any signs.
Well, Chris, aside from all the armed officers there, it's also a canine unit. You could see the dog toward the upper part of your screen. Well, now he's kind of behind the sign there, but you'll see that canine dog, and that's one officer you do not want to mess with.
That is exactly right, and it's always convenient when you've got a canine at the right place, the right.
A lot of hand gestures
as if though she's talking with someone, or a lot of commotion going on, moving.
No.
Or may not be in a good state of mind here.
Yeah,
right.
or just reacting to what officers
it can't be a she
yelling right now.
Yeah. Once again, CHP saying that this is a woman, and also she may be armed with a ghost gun. We know this has been going on for over an hour and a half now. This chase, which started by
all right, I'm gonna add a wig emoji to the list
out of the El Monte area, and this is where we are now after being here in this area, at least for the last 30 minutes, in that one side street. Drugs? We saw that person telling the driver to stop. That person might have known this woman just because the way they were acting and gesturing for her, trying to get her to stop. And then circling back around twice to that gas station, and then finally ending here with the spike strips as we watch police with their guns drawn, just waiting on this woman to come out of the car to surrender.
Yeah, and after that whole event with that, whoever that acquaintance was, we didn't see this person get back on the freeway. So it kind of leads us to believe that they, again, are familiar with this area. They want to stay in the area where they're familiar with and make the decision on what they're going to do, whether they're going to come to a stop, forced to a stop as they were just now by this spike strip, or, you know, run out of gas, or perhaps do it on their own. But it looks like the CHP had a successful spike strip tonight, putting this part of the pursuit at least to an end, and the person not cooperating right now, not coming out of the vehicle as they're being ordered to do.
And Susie, you talked about that acquaintance there on that side street in the neighborhood. We also, Mike, we did not see police move that person away or try to get them away from the scene.
Right. Sorry, I'm just getting some more information here. But yeah, they definitely engaged with that person, which if he wasn't a part of this, they would have immediately shoot him away. But they engaged with this person, they talked to him, they asked questions. We're just getting some other information from Angelina on our assignment desk out in the newsroom that this was stolen today. This car was stolen today, and now we're being told that it was actually out of Monterey Park and not El Monte. The CHP maybe had some... it
looks like they're dancing or something. So that person we saw earlier that like waved them down, they believe that person knew this person, that's why they slowed down. If this person's high or having some kind of mental thing, they drove really well. Really well. They drove better than 75% of the drivers here in Florida. I know it's a California thing. Wow.
Garfield.
That tells you something.
The suspect's either listening to loud music and kind of getting into the music, or they're kind of writhing back and forth and having some issues in there. But it doesn't seem like they have any interest in communicating with the authorities.
TikTok
at this
videos.
Point. The window's been up and down. You can kind of see inside a little bit here, but lots of hand gesturing. And I just have to wonder if, you know, something's
He's lucky she didn't kill nobody. Lucky she alive. Lucky she didn't kill nobody.
It just makes me wonder if that's what that person on the side of the road earlier was trying to tell about CHP. So, you know, I'm sure we'll be able to put the pieces together on this fairly soon. But bottom line, this person not giving up, and CHP is not going to be too interested in coming up to the vehicle if they have reason to believe that this person is armed.
Des, really quick, I'm just curious, if we can pull our attention away from the car for a second. I'm curious if that person that was at the side of the road followed this and is here at the end of the pursuit. Maybe we've seen family members kind of do that before. I'm just curious if we see him anywhere back there at all. I know the trees are terribly placed there for us, but I was just curious to see if we see him anywhere.
TikTok video? You think so?
I do not. Who's this person?
TikTok live?
Just kind of driving into see what is this person doing? They're
everybody lit.
Kind of getting right up in CHP's business. They're just trying to make a turn or
a little van.
Well, I don't know. Maybe that's just someone trying to get home. I don't know. We'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, that one person was wearing a white polo. I remember pants and a tucked-in white polo, if I recall. So I'm looking around to see that person, and I do not see that person. Let's see if by chance they're in that van. I don't know, kind of weird, or if that person was just kind of
maybe looking.
Brazenly drove up into the police's business and then to go down the street to go home. Not sure, but I do not see the person that we saw earlier here on scene with CHP.
Yeah, oftentimes at the end of a pursuit with the CHP, when there isn't that heightened level of security with an armed situation happening, as we have in this case, they're going to go wait for that ballistic shield. And what they'll do is, not every unit of the CHP has a ballistic shield, but they'll wait for that to arrive. Then the officers will actually stack behind that ballistic shield and attempt to approach the car. But as you can see, this is a very delicate.
A lot of people out there too.
Be very ginger with this operation because of the fact that this is a person who is armed, and we don't know what their mental state of mind is right now. If that could be a part of the problem
shooting pepper
tonight.
balls.
But it looks like they're using their less than yeah.
I just saw that smoke. You can see it drifting in front of the lights there, but just a couple of seconds ago, it looks like they tried to launch one through the window. Des, could you tell if it went in?
No, you know, I had looked away for 1 minute there. I couldn't quite tell. But yeah, this is, you know, another thing here where.
Oh, yeah, they are. Look on this side. They're shooting something at it.
Kind of treads the middle of the road when it comes to tactics and aggression with these pursuits. But
they're shooting at the car.
You know,
definitely
not afraid to unleash some of the pepper balls, you know, early. And like, okay, if the spike strip didn't get your attention, is this going to get your attention? Look at this.
There we go.
Right after that, now we see the door opening. And we see some
maybe that
hands.
snapped her out of it. Maybe she was like so high and stuff. She didn't realize.
Finally realizes that the jig is up.
Wow.
Why turn this into a 4-hour situation when we can get it over with right now? It's going to end one way or another.
Oh, she's definitely
with the suspect in handcuffs. And now let's just hope that they come out.
I cannot believe she was driving like that and managed to drive.
And you know, real quick, that's just the level of uncomfort from those pepper balls is a lot. Those are not a thing you want to sit in. Your eyes immediately get watery. They're really hard to deal with. The first thing you're going to want to do is get fresh air, which is this person's at least out of the car now.
Waving the woman is waving to the helicopters. She's looking up, waving to the helicopters now.
So she's so lucky she didn't kill somebody.
Wow.
She could have killed somebody.
Well,
he almost did.
No, I was just saying, as this woman backs up, you know,
wow, I cannot believe this.
A little dance there, if you will. We were talking earlier about the dangers of these ghost guns on the streets and how police are handling suspects, because these ghost guns have become a problem all across the country. They're untraceable. You can put them together right there at home. You don't need a background check. So. As we see this woman being arrested here by CHP.
You better act right. Don't do nothing wrong with the BLM shirt on.
Yeah, it's true. And, you know, as we wrap this up here on KCAL News, as we've been following this pursuit since the top of the 10 o'clock hour, you know, it just makes you wonder what kind
shirt.
Oh,
for real? That might be is that Palestine shirt?
Some sort of domestic disturbance where this person, that person that we saw earlier, was maybe a family member saying, you know, this person is not in the right state of mind. But looks like all clear here in Monterey Park, as a person is under arrest after a standoff with a pursuit suspect comes to an end.
All right, you're watching KCAL News tonight. At 8 o'clock, we have more news right now. A 7th grader hit by a car and badly hurt while walking to school tonight. The search is still on for that driver who did not stop.
Well, the 12-year-old girl is recovering in the hospital tonight. A police search for that driver. They do have a clue to go on. The car was seen on a home security camera.
KCAL News.
This one is a wrap, and good news, because really, again, emphasizes, you know, what we were saying earlier. I just get the feeling that this driver may not have been as competent as we were imagining. You know, we saw him
the way that person was able to drive.
A lot of erratic moves, occasionally, you know, going a little too fast, but I really wonder about his sobriety at this point. And that certainly really could have gotten somebody hurt had this pursuit continued much longer. But they saw their opportunity. He was establishing a very clear pattern, providing the perfect opportunity for a well-executed spike strip, and that's exactly what they did immediately. That vehicle coming to a stop, and this pursuit coming to an end.
Well, yeah, it was a good hour and a half at least, as you mentioned before, and it shows that patience does pay off. These officers, you know, they kept their patience. They stayed on his tail safely. They didn't do anything reckless. There was a point where it looked like he may have been pulled over and could have been pinned in, but it all played out nicely right now.
Yep, I think all's well that ends well here. We didn't see anybody get hurt. We didn't even see any traffic collisions. A couple of close calls maybe, but for the most part, that's about it. And again, my guess is that he will likely be heading back to the Inland Empire to face whatever charges have stacked up against him.
Yeah, quite a few charges. Chris, thanks so much. We're going to put a period on the end of this sentence. This is going to wrap up our pursuit coverage ending.
All right, so guys, in 5 minutes, I'm going to start the other stream. I'm still going to do it. I'm going to update you guys on the inmate escape for those that want to come and hang out and do that. There's it went from $1,000 to $73,000. Like, these 4 men that escaped are still on the run. It's getting crazy. I even got a message from Nick telling me that potentially Dog the Bounty Hunter is going to join. He sent me some documentation with jail transcript from the calls and stuff like that. We're going to take a look at the inside of the jail too. They showed some video and pictures. So you guys want to come hang out for a little bit? I'm going to do another stream. Just give me like a little bit less than 5 minutes. We're going to keep that stream probably short, maybe 30 minutes, hopefully, or something like that. I don't know how long those documents are, but yeah, we're rolling. Okay. So see you there, guys, there soon. Thank you so much for the chase. Subscribe, turn on the bell with notifications, like. Also, tomorrow I'm going to contact YouTube. I got the people that gifted memberships for some reason. Text messages. For some reason, people didn't get gifts and people got charged. And so it's like, what the hell is going on? So I'm going to have to contact YouTube. I got the screenshots. YouTube already messing with the new channel.